Greetings and welcome to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. It is Wednesday, July 2nd. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing great. I think I'm doing better than you and your trials and tribulations at the airport here.
Yeah, it's a true road game. I love my hometown of Cleveland. So I feel obliged or entitled to speak on its shortcomings. Airport is a bad scene. We're better than this. We got to step the game up. The airport situation is not up to snuff. And I've spent way too much time there trying to sort out a flight. There's not enough planes, not enough flights. It's not clean enough. We got to figure out the airport. And of course, I am highly colored by my last 24 hours of discomfort and malcontent there over the last 2 days. So I am on the road, struggling here. I don't have my giant monitor here. I've got my AirPods in, but this is how we do TV. We're bringing a little shotgun start flavor.
There's nothing better than a disgruntled media member about air travel.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pastimes on social media is when, the media members start to revolt against the airlines and attempt to use their audiences to get favorable treatment when, the reality of the situation is nothing can happen.
I was nearly at media member diva tweeting at airlines levels this morning. I got up at 4 a.m. and I nearly started tweeting. I was like, I can't do it. As Andy noted, there's nothing that can change. There's nothing that can happen from my little golf niche account tweeting at United Airlines. So not much can happen.
Spending so much time, have you run into LeBron looking for new homes? Potentially coming back home.
No, I haven't kept up with LeBron. He still does keep a home, I believe, in the area. So, yeah, but I don't think he's at Hopkins International Airport. I think he's probably taken the private deal into wherever the commercial, residential airport, county airport. So that might be what you need to fly to the heartland this week. A little dinky airport if you're going to Moline, Quad Cities, Illinois, because that's where the PGA Tour is off to this week. Kind of a mainstay on the PGA Tour. This is its 25th straight year, I believe, at TPC Deere Run. I know a favorite layout of yours. You've got some history there, going back to your amateur days in Illinois. A favorite
Junior
golf course of yours. Junior days. I don't know if it might suit the juniors still. Maybe not. I don't know if it's a big enough ball yard for the PGA Tour, the big hitters, the 195-mile ball speed pros, but that's where we're at. I love the John Deere Classic. I know it's it's traditionally the very smallest purse on the PGA Tour. It's increased its coffers in recent years. It's got its strongest strength of field metric ever this week. A large part of that is due to guys on the bubble, right? Trying to keep their cards at 100, trying to get into the playoffs at the top 70. People like Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, Max Homa, guys who are big names, maybe down a bit this year. I think, we tend to nitpick all the time about schedule. What could be improved? This part of the schedule just is kind of a jigsaw puzzle to figure out. I'm not sure we ever have. There have been so many events that have sort of been swept into the dustbin of history. Let's go U.S. Open time to the end of July. Right? You've had a Greenbrier Classic used to be here. The True South Classic was a thing that happened in Mississippi in July. I don't think we're missing that one. The Deere has been really one of the mainstays over the course of all these shifts. The AT&T National has come and gone. So I don't know if it needs fixing. The ratings are up. We have great, or large American companies like 3M and Rocket and John Deere sponsoring these events. But do you feel like there's a solution? Do you feel like it's underwhelming? Or do you feel like we're just overanalyzed because this is the age of heightened media scrutiny?
I think it is a bit of both. I think that the tour should go to the major markets. The fact that there's not a regular stop in New York City, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston is a major issue. Huge issue.
Cities. Yeah.
PGA Tour.
Yeah.
That is undeniably an issue. I also think on the other end of the spectrum, golf is a smaller sport. It is not basketball or football And I think like it can get lost sometimes in a big city, in a big metro market. We saw this with the U.S. Open at LACC. LA didn't even know that this was happening.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest golf events of the year. One of the neat things is when it goes to smaller markets. I like always remember back to when the Solheim Cup went to Des Moines, and they had those
Yeah.
massive crowds, huge crowds. I think when you bring premier golf events, and when I say premier, I'm talking about like maybe it's a signature event or above to a small market, that is going to be one of the best spectating experiences on the PGA Tour of the year. Because what happened, it's the biggest show in town. It's the biggest thing that's happened in a place in years. And I always think back to like when we were at this stage of discussing, you know, what signature events might look like a couple years ago after like that Delaware delegation. And I think what could have been a cool resolution was that you rotate the signature events around. Everybody pays the same amount of money, and you get, you know, every X number of years a signature event comes to Deer Run. You know, comes to the Quad Cities, and that would have been a spectacle. Like people would drive in from all over that area and attend the event if Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler were playing.
Do you think there's any possibility for the pipe dream of going to Europe for a whole month, going to Europe for a PGA Tour, make some of these events in the U.S. sort of hybrid KFT PGA Tour events, go to Europe, maybe home base it in London. You could play in the Edinburgh area. You could go in England somewhere, wherever that may be, the west coast of Scotland, obviously up by Troon. You go to Ireland for an event, to maybe a major market. It feels like an opportunity to just do more. Now, you know, the U.S. networks, you know, CBS being one, probably don't want a bunch of finishes in the middle of the summer at you know, 2 Eastern instead of 6. So there are drawbacks. Is that just an unrealistic pipe dream to really do some sort of hybrid Euro swing?
I think you'd have to get really creative, because the second you do a hybrid Euro swing, we just talked about all the major metro markets that don't have PGA Tour events. You're just going to cut a ton of events, and you will be at a place where it's like, I think like you could get there by doing rotating events. Like, hey, we have an event in this city every 3 years. But right now it just seems kind of broken that those major metro markets don't have an event, and also that we don't spend more time in the UK. The schedule needs work.
Yeah, there needed not to nitpick, but it clearly does sort of hit a lull here where it's kind of like we're just filling time between the majors and guys trying to keep their cards for the playoffs. And if that's your thing, then that's your thing. But it is a little bit of lull, as much as we appreciate the Deere and its origins and its history on tour. It's a little bit of a lull in the schedule. One thing that's not a lull is the Ryder Cup. That is a marquee event of the year. We debuted the mule wheel last week for the American team. And after the break, we're going to bring it back for the Euros. Andy suggests there are no mules. There are no spots for mules to fill, but we'll check it out. We'll make it work with the wheel. I think we got some names to throw at him after the break. All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. Last week, we debuted the Ryder Cup Mule Wheel. This was to fill out the American back half of the roster, which seems a little bit in flux here as we get to the middle of the summer, but scant few events ahead of the playoffs. This week, we're going to flip it across the Atlantic. Andy contends that the European side is steady Eddie. There's not a lot of decisions to be made at the bottom of the roster. But I think we can figure out a few options to throw his way on the wheel. Why there's less decisions to be made, we do have some clarity at the top, like the American side. You've got Rory, Fleetwood, Tyrrell, Bobby Mack, Shane Lowry, and Sepp are your current AQs, auto qualifiers. Remember, the European Tour has flipped to just 1 points list with 6 qualifiers and 6 picks. They've done away with the separate world points and DP World Tour list. What do you got?
I want to point out John Rahm's not on this list. So just bump Matt Wallace out.
He's in. Where's Wallace? He's out. Rahm's in. That's where Wallace is. So yes, after that, you've got Rahm, Ludwig, Justin Rose and Victor Hovland, I would contend, are locks. I think something dramatic would have to happen. After that, Rasmus seems like a pretty good prospect. It's hard, he's seventh. It would be hard to say you're not invited. And he's played well on both sides, played well on the PGA Tour. And then you're basically down to one spot. You've got veterans who've played before, like Matt Fitz, Nikolai Højgaard. You could do the twin double dip at Bethpage. He's not had a good year. And then after this, you got Thomas Dietrich and Wallace there on 11 and 12 at the bottom. You've got folks like Nicholas Norgard, Aaron Rye has played well, and then like a veteran like Alex Noren who's 80th. So you were popping the American side, but a lot of these guys haven't played well. Like Rose, Hovland, Aberg, they haven't played great either. So maybe there's some more wheel options. Maybe we need some more wheel options to throw at.
Hovland didn't play well at the U.S. Open, and Justin Rose wasn't in a playoff at the Masters. I forgot about those things.
Look at the full body of work. 4 days in April does not make a Ryder Cup player in September. But so maybe there's some mules on the wheel we could throw at Captain Donald's way. Let's spin it. I'll go first.
I just saw Paul Waring's on the wheel.
The wheel. There are some. The wheel, this could get fun quick. Brendan, who are you going to advocate for?
The game is I have to make a case for this person no matter who I get.
This is easy. This is easy.
Oh, Matthew Jordan. Matthew Jordan, Englishman, who may be unfamiliar with many viewers in America right now, but an Englishman who we love because he always shoots in between, 68 or 69 and 72. Like every single round, whether it's the Open Championship or Hoylake is where we got onto this bit. Guy always shoots between like 69 and 72, which for me, there's my case. Steady Eddie. Pars are good in foursomes, alt shot. You want pars. Pars are good, like Dumb and Dumber. You want pars. Matthew Jordan, not a lot of dips and climbs. You want Matt Jordan on your team, making his solid 70 around Bethpage. Pars are good. Keep it between the mayonnaise and the mustard. That's my case for Matthew Jordan. Another Brit. We need more Englishmen on the team. So, yeah, you got to look at him as a possible 11th or 12th guy. Great wheel choice for me. That one's easy. No Paul Waring. That was one of
the easiest ones out here. All right, we'll spin it. Let's see who I'm making the case for here.
Let's go to Peach.
Give me somebody good.
I need like Adrian Satier. Who do we got?
This is perfect. Jacob Scott. I mean, this is a guy
easy.
You want to put some fresh blood on the team. This is a young player, a lefty who could be interesting. Could you pair him up with Bobby Mack and get some lefty action out at Bethpage there? But this is a young player who he's 26 years old. He's played decently well this year. He's popped a couple times, but there's been a lot of talk about the Danes, how they hit the ball so far. You got Rasmus Nergaard Peterson, Nicholas Norgard, who you talked about, maybe some other Danish players yet to be named in this segment. But Jacob Skov-Olesen could be, just another injection. Pair him with Rasmus. Even he's got a countryman on the team. I think this could be. The Team Europe is big about the farm system, right? We talk about that with the Americans a lot. You got to bring the next generation along. I think Jacob Skov-Olesen is certainly in that next generation of Europeans who could be kind of maybe carried a little bit a la Justin Rose and Bob McIntyre last time out. Sure. Could a veteran bring Jacob Skov-Olesen under a wing at Bethpage?
Are we looking at a scenario where for Adair Manor in 3 years it's half Danes, like 6 Danes and then 6 other Europeans?
Kind of. Yeah, I think it's on the table.
Well, speaking of Danes, let's throw it to Andy. Let's spin the wheel for him, see if he might get a Dane too, or just a regular old, Englishman like I did. Let's throw it the Andy's way. What do we got for Andy here?
The bullet.
Marcus Armitage, the bullet. State your case. He's got to be. There you go. Who do you like?
Listen, this is not going to be a merit-based selection. We hear, the Ryder Cup comes up, and it's all about team room. It's all about the team room. How do you win the team room? I think half the battle is winning the team room. If you listen to us golf media talk, well, he's not the team room was really light. They were playing ping pong. They were, having a couple beers, and I went in there, and everything seemed good in the team room. Let me tell you, someone that will add levity to the team room is Marcus Armitage. He's a wonderful, wonderful social media follow, and someone who genuinely seems like he just is having a great time. Every week he's teeing it up on the golf course. He's just happy to be places. That's the thing about Marcus Armitage. He's refreshing. And that's where maybe you only play him one match. You play him just in singles. You bring him, but you bring him in
just a vibes guy. Total vibes play.
Yes.
Need the vibes guy. Could you imagine Marcus Armitage and Justin Rose just getting absolutely chuffed in the team room? They're just happy to be there. Andy, we do have we're gonna have you spin the wheel one more time here. As we mentioned, there's some Danish blood in the greater European ecosystem here. So we're gonna have Andy spin one more time. A special wheel just for Andy.
Look at all those options. So many days to choose from. There we go.
Looks like I got the gentleman, Thorbjorn Olsen here. Thorbjorn, if I was going to make a case for Thorbjorn, listen, you get in a match play situation, and you can feel your back against the wall. You can feel like the world's going against you. They're playing at Bethpage. The New York fans will be rowdy. You need someone to borrow a golf idiom, someone who's overcome adversity in their life. Now you're probably wondering, what kind of adversity did Thorbjorn Olsen overcome? Well, he peed on an airplane. He might have been intoxicated. His nickname, the Thunder Bear, is it's kind of great. It turned into the Piss Bear on this podcast. So, Olesen is a guy. He's got Ryder Cup experience. He went 2-1 at Le Golf National, and he's overcome adversity. Now, is he playing great? No. He's played in some majors. He made the cut at Bethpage when in the 2019 PGA. He finished T64. But listen, this is a guy that can help the whole team room overcome any adversity that they might have at Bethpage with personal experience.
I will just add that he is 15th in the points list. This is not the most far-fetched thing in the history of the world. He hasn't played well, but he hasn't played poorly either.
Yeah, more Danish blood there. I just worry a little bit about the flight across the transatlantic flight, but certainly an option for Captain Luke Donald. Very good argument all the way around. Armitage, Jacob Skov-Olesen, Matthew Jordan, and the gentleman, Thorbjorn Olesen. Some great options, I think, for Luke Donald.
Here's the thing.
10 to 12 range.
If you put together the double Olesen team, Olesen, think about that team.
Who are you cutting to make two spots? Who are you cutting to get both Olesens on there?
I think you may leave Rahm at home to get both Olsen.
He's below Thorbjorn in points, so there's a case for it.
I don't know if you noticed, but Rahm's top 10 streak ended last week. He finished T11 on Live. So now that the top 10 streak's gone, I think you got it. He's not in form anymore.
All right. Well, I love this. Bringing the legend of Thorbjorn Olesen and his travel travails to a network audience. Love this on CBS Sports. We'll come back. As we mentioned, we're going to the heartland of America, the border of Iowa and Illinois. Andy's going to, after he's ranking his favorite Michigan golf courses last week, he's now going to rank his favorite Big Ten golf states, which could be all of them now that we go from California to New Jersey. But he'll drill down and name some of his favorite or his top 5 golf states in the Big Ten footprint. All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. The PGA Tour is headed to the John Deere Classic in the Quad Cities, right there on the border of Illinois and Iowa, right, 2 classic Big Ten states, Big Ten universities. Andy is an Illinois product himself. We thought it'd be a good week after you ranked the top public courses in Michigan last week during the Rocket Classic in Detroit to discuss the Big Ten at large. Now at large is large these days, going from coast to coast. So I told you, like, let's rank your top 5 Big Ten states. I kind of omitted or excluded California, Oregon, Washington from it. But do you feel like that's a fair exercise? Is that a fair exercise? Had to be hard.
It is a fair exercise. I don't know how Rutgers and New Jersey slipped in, but California, Oregon, and Washington, weren't part of it. Okay. I guess that's the old Big Ten. Rutgers is now a mainstay of the Big Ten and conferences at large.
Right. Rutgers and Maryland have been around a long time now compared to the recent developments. Big Ten on CBS too, I think. So let's lead it off. How it had to be hard cutting it down to 5 with so many states and so many great golf states involved.
It was. I mean, there's Big Ten countries got great golf. I think also the John Deere, the Quad Cities is a uniquely positioned tournament because you have Illinois. It's like a melting pot of the Big Ten. You have Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota within like a stone's throw of there. Yeah. So, anyways, let's get into it. I got to start with an honorable mention here. This pains me to leave off it. Nebraska would not be considered by many to be a great golf state, but it is amazing. And it's mostly because of the Nebraska Sandhills section. The area north of I-80 has some of the greatest golf terrain in the world. Not a lot of people there, but a lot of great golf courses. A couple, of note: Sandhills, Caprock Ranch, Wild Horse, Bayside would be a few that would be ones that you could look at. That's Caprock Ranch right there on the screen there, and then Sandhills, obviously the famous Bill Core, Ben Crenshaw design. Good public golf, lots of mom and pop golf courses that you could go visit in the Sandhills. Also, Omaha's got some good golf. Number 5, we're going with my home state. This might be a little bit of bias. I think it belongs in here. It's on the border. It was, I think Illinois is actually like often considered, like people always say it's like this great golf state. I think it's pretty mediocre. The reality is most of the great golf courses in Illinois are in Chicago. And if you know anything about, geology, Chicago's a swamp. It's like basically like the bottom of a old lake floor. And with that, there is a lot of flat land. This is Beverly here. That's one of the great golf courses in Chicago. Chicago Golf Club, an iconic golf course. They'll host the U.S. Women's coming up. Medina 3, renovated by OCM, Ogilvy, Cocking and Mead. That's going to be really exciting for the President's Cup. Ravislow, a good public golf course on the south side. And obviously Shore Acres, one of the more famous golf courses there in Chicago. And Skokie Country Club, this year's Western Am host. Which is a big-time amateur event coming up. That'll also, I'll never forget it.
They got a fried egg event.
The last Skokie Western Am at Skokie, watching Cam Champ hit it 340 to 30 yards short of every green and being like, whoa, this is a little different.
Yeah. Illinois was not on your original list, but it does feel like a little home cooking. You elbow them in there at 5. And I should add, like, last week was top public access courses in Michigan. Very clearly, Chicago, Illinois, some of the great private golf courses that some of the subsequent states will have. This is just overall golf, public and private, for your top 5 Big Ten states. All right.
Overall golf. If we did public, this number 4 might be number 1. They might have gotten knocked down. When I was listing out courses, they might have gotten knocked down a little bit just because they're the home of the Packers. Just to be completely honest, number 4 is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is, I think, like probably the mecca of high-end public golf right now in the country. This is a private course here, Blue Mound Golf and Country Club, or Rainer. This course, my favorite, Ma and Pa, Eagle Springs. You can play that for $20. Here's Mammoth Dunes, a great golf course up at Sand Valley. That's Milwaukee Country Club, famous private club in Milwaukee. Here's Sand Valley. So you have the Sand Valley, you have the Kohler courses. Erin Hills, obviously, hosted this year's Women's Open. and you just have a great mix here of public and private golf. I think this has become kind of a pilgrimage of people from across the country for a great public golf trip is Wisconsin. So that clocks in at number 4. If we're going to number 3, we're going to the, I would say that probably the least favorite Big Ten school. Would you agree with that as an outsider? Least favorite Big Ten school is Michigan. I feel like everybody uniformly is Michigan.
I am from Big Ten territory, but yes, they do feel like they're kind of subject of the firing squad. Everybody's got their guns pointed at them, and they're kind of fighting back. I would say they do feel like the bad guy or the lone wolf, so to speak.
Michigan doesn't sneak up on anybody. It's like the defending champion. They get everybody's best. Everybody thinks they're rivals with Michigan, but Michigan only has one rival, Ohio State. I grew up a Michigan fan, went to Illinois. I'm an Illinois fan, but I don't share the hatred for Michigan that most people share.
Okay.
They also have incredible golf. We highlighted a lot of the public golf last week, so I wanted to showcase some of the private golf. Crystal Downs, unbelievable golf course there. This is Franklin Hills in Detroit area, a cool Donald Ross course. That's Gray Walls. We talked about that last week. Epic place in the UP. Here's Kingsley Club in Traverse City, a great Mike DeVries design. That's Meadowbrook in Detroit. They've got just a ton of great golf across the entire state. And, of course, Oakland Hills, upcoming U.S. Open and U.S. Women's Open host. And there's the Loop in the kind of upper part of the state. And there's Dunes Club, which is a popular vacation spot for Chicago, Southwest Michigan, beautiful place in the state. And, why Michigan's here is they've got a lot of sand dunes. That's why I got up to number 3. Now we're gonna head east, and this is where some recent additions to the Big Ten really make their weight felt. We're going to New Jersey, home of Rutgers. So Rutgers, the
ridiculous
athletic powerhouse of the Big Ten, is here at number 2. New Jersey, obviously, what many people consider the greatest golf course in the world is in New Jersey, Pine Valley. On top of that, I point out this is a very private heavy list. They have Somerset Hills, one of the great Tillinghast. That there is Hollywood Golf Club, a great Walter Travis. There's Pine Valley, of course. They have Ridgewood, which is upcoming host of some USAMs. They have Plainfield, which is a great Donald Ross golf course that I think it hosted the 4-ball this year. Essex County Club. And one of the neat public golf courses is Rock Spring. It's a Seth Rayner just outside of New York City. Worth going and checking out. So New Jersey comes number 2. They have a lot of variety in the state. Maybe not the best public access state, but a great private club state that is in the Met District. Tops of the list is the home of the Nittany Lions. Big football factory there, Pennsylvania. I think you could make an argument that Pennsylvania, a lot of people like to argue what's the best golf state. I think New York has it hands down. I think you could make an argument for Pennsylvania, number 2, or you can make an argument for California, number 2. We saw, obviously, Oakmont this year in Pittsburgh, which was incredible. Next year's PGA Championship host, Aronimink, is there. They have upcoming 2030 U.S. Open host, Marion. Fox Chapel, a great golf course in Pittsburgh. Lancaster, a great golf course in Lancaster, which hosted the U.S. Women's Open a couple years ago. You have Philly Cricket Club, which hosted this year's Truist. Long list. So many you could get to in Pennsylvania. One of the greatest golf states in the country. Again, very private though. I would say that is based off majority of their private clubs. So if you were going to do this public access, I think you could go Wisconsin or Michigan number 1. And then you'd have a lot different looking lists going from there down.
So we're going Pennsylvania, Jersey, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, honorable mention, Nebraska, Ohio. As an Ohio native, was that next, or where was Ohio? A lot of public, a lot of private, some good public. No, Ohio didn't make it.
I thought about it. But what I considered was, the drawing line. I used your geography. You often say to me, Cincinnati is part of Kentucky. So when
Right.
Cincinnati in my head got removed from it,
Okay.
that's what happened with Ohio.
Okay. All right. You're able to find good golf everywhere. I know we've highlighted great courses in Minnesota. We've had a whole tour in Iowa. So there's great golf across the Big Ten. But when forced to pick five, this is what you still done. No Ohio. A great job by you, Andy.
Ohio probably should have been number 5, to be completely honest.
Illinois, I mean, a lot of great courses and clubs in Chicago, I know. So
you think about the top of the bucket of Ohio. It probably should have been there.
Yeah. But a good exercise.
It's my list. You can make your list and differ. Ohio could be number 1 on your list.
I'll defer to you on this week, but maybe we'll come up with another game for next week with the Scottish Open. We'll go that direction next week. We're going to come back after the break, flash back a little bit, more Deere talk to the pool boy, the gripper, the Tiger killer for 1 week or 1 day only. We're going to do that with a mini John Deere flashback after the break. All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. Jumping off of that Big Ten golf discussion, we're going to go back to a little John Deere history. A little squat, short little Ed Fiori, who took down Tiger Woods in 1996. We're going to the 1996 John Deere Classic when Ed Fiori won his 4th PGA Tour event. Now, it was his 4th event, but he hadn't won in 14 years. His last win came in 1982. I had not been born. Andy had not been born. We're not, spring chickens, but we weren't even born yet. And Ed Fiori took down none other than Tiger Woods. He wrote a first-person article for golf.com many years later in which he said, some people called him the Tiger killer. I have breaking news. Tiger was not dead in 1996. He did go on to do some things after that year, but it was just Tiger's 3rd professional start. He had the 54-hole outright lead, and there was Ed Fiori, who would later call himself a pool boy because all he does is clean his pool home in Texas. So he was known as the Grip because he had a unique, really strong grip. He was known as the Pool Boy and the Tiger Killer, just a cavalcade of nicknames for the little Ed Fiori. And he took it to Tiger. It's kind of an incredible story. He was averaging 238.9 off the tee. Think about this. He was almost, I think he was the shortest on tour back then, 238.9 yards off the tee, hadn't won in 14 years. Apparently, the prior week was going around talking about how he was going to retire and become a charter boat captain. Look at him there, taking on young Tiger Woods in his 3rd start. He even had a quote after he beat up on Tiger. Tiger was 3 up after 3 holes. He made a quad on the 4th hole and took it to him. And Fiori afterwards would say, the kid self-imploded. There's no other way to put it. Quite a spicy take for Tiger Woods. On Tiger Woods, who would go on to great things, obviously very shortly after winning in Vegas. This was just his 3rd start, but really one of the great kind of time capsules. When you think about who Ed Fiori was, who he was at that time, and then what Tiger Woods would become. I know this was one of your favorite John Deere classics. Think about that. Tiger Woods playing in the Quad Cities. What a great flashback to 96.
I mean, it's incredible to watch the video with the swing. I mean, you think about pro golfers now, and Fiori had like a really long career. Think about if we inserted a professional golfer, let's just say Lanto Griffin. If we took Lanto Griffin and he was mulling, the week of an event, retiring and becoming a charter boat captain. It's different times. Different financial means on the PGA Tour. Lanto could just retire and probably, do kind of odd jobs and whatever he wants the rest of his life.
Sure.
Ed Fiori was thinking about a second career. Tiger, this was his 3rd start as a pro, as you alluded to. He finished 5th this week. The next week he goes and finishes T3 at the BC Open. And then, of course, he has the famous Vegas win in a playoff over DL3, and that kind of launched his start. But golf is it's just an interesting sport where you can have a guy that hits a 236, take down at the time a golfer that nobody had really seen, the blend of power and accuracy, finesse, and short game acumen that Tiger had. Amazing event and tournament and result, and a part of golf history. Ed Fiori, the pool boy, the grip, lots of great nicknames.
So when we talk about this event having some history, I mean, we're going back 30 years now. This was just the Quad Cities Classic then. And this is one of the all-timers. You're talking about Tiger Woods in the Heartland. One of my favorite anecdotes from it was Fiori and Tiger played together on Saturday. And, this is just Tiger's third start as a pro. Of course, he's done so much in USGA amateur events and won 3 of those and multiple amateur titles and was this phenom. But it's his third pro start, and Fiori steps on the tee on Saturday and says, Tiger, I wonder if I can get a couple autographs for my kids as they're about to play together in the third round. And Tiger apparently said, sure. It's his third start. And the guy, who's played, hasn't won since 82 is asking for autographs. And he goes, they're about the same age as you are. So it's not like little Timmy who's 5 years old. They're, Tiger's age at 20 or pushing 20 years old. So I love that little anecdote. That was from Fiori himself when he was calling himself the pool boy. I asked Tiger for his autograph. He'll always have that, as they're calling him the Tiger Killer. I don't think he killed him. He went on, but he'll always have that weekend in 1996.
Could be the Tiger trainer, taught Tiger how to kill. Tiger saw firsthand what a stone cold killer like Ed Fiori does on Sunday, and he learned. Tiger might not have been Tiger if it hadn't been for Fiori putting him in a 6 feet under on a Sunday in the Quad City.
Butch Harmon did say that afterwards. Like, in the long run, this might be good for Tiger, that he took his lumps. It might make him more of a champion, that he, I don't think anybody would be calling him self-imploding. We wouldn't hear that quote from other players much more in the 90s or 2000s. But Butch Harmon did say this weekend might end up being the best thing that could happen to the kid. And, he would clearly get it in contention and win real quick.
I kind of think that it's amazing. Something that doesn't get talked about enough is like how Tiger's career started. I'm teaching my daughter how to ride a bike right now. And it's just like, there's parallels of learning how to play on the PGA Tour in a very rapid pace. T60 at the Greater Milwaukee Open, first start. T11 at Canada, T5 at Quad Cities, T3 at BC Open, win. Every start getting a little bit better, more in the mix, getting comfortable, then a win, which launches, probably the greatest PGA Tour career in history. Yep. So that's a throwback to the 96, one of our favorites, the Gripper, Ed Fiori versus Tiger. We're going to take it to more modern day, come back to this week's John Deere Classic, make some picks after the break. I don't think Fiori or Tiger are on the docket, but who knows? This could be, like you talked about, the young rookie progression. Could be where another young guy pops in the Quad Cities. We'll get to our picks for the John Deere Classic after the break. All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. It's July 4th weekend, which often means we're going to the Heartland for the John Deere Classic, an event that then can produce a young, flashy winner or a sign of things to come, like a Jordan Spieth. We saw that a little bit, maybe with Davis Thompson winning last year. The models, I don't know what the models say for this one. It's another one like Detroit where you kind of send it, right? TPC Deere Run, Andy, you just send it, wedge it, and then putt on some relatively benign greens. Is that the formula here, the young guns? I think it's a wedge fest. So it's every player is getting a lot of wedges. I think that's the difference between Detroit. And I think there is trouble off the fairway, right? You can get into some, it's not just rough. So I think that's why you see, if you think about players who have been dominant here, Zach Johnson, Steve Stricker, not the longest players in the world, but absolute assassins with a wedge and a putter in their hand. So I really like looking at guys that wedge it and putt it really well. Obviously a recent champion, JT Poston, does that really at an elite level. I would just focus it on like who wedges it and putts it well and is driving it well enough.
Yeah, it does seem like that happened. I'm maybe getting hot late on Zach. He's Zach Johnson. He's won here before. He's sort of the unofficial host. Maybe he's motivated to try to make a Ryder Cup return. Flash there on the Detroit leaderboard last week. I might be getting hot late on the FRL bet on Zach Johnson here. But for the real bet, for my outright winner, not FRL, I should say, I'm going with a guy who's been a bridesmaid several times. Close but no cigar. And with Denny McCarthy, Rockville, Maryland zone, the product of Georgetown Prep. Denny McCarthy, one of the great putters in this era on the PGA Tour, plays hard courses well. He's renowned for that. I wouldn't call TPC Deer Run that, but he's played well here as in addition. He's also, as PJ, I'm sure can edify us, is in this unique sort of the biggest trend, the champion's house, the rental house. So I'm going with Denny McCarthy for statistics and trends, both real and somewhat mythical. What's the rental house situation, PJ, for McCarthy?
Yeah. So the last three John Deere champions have stayed in this same rental house. JT Poston, Sepp Straka, and Davis Thompson last year. This year, Denny McCarthy is staying there with Davis Thompson again, Grayson Sigg, Chris Kirk, Ben Coles, Patton Kizzire, and JT Poston. So Davis Thompson and JT Poston could run it back. I'm going with Denny as well. He's been in the top 10 the last 3 years here. He's top 40 in approaches with the wedge. And if I had to pick one guy with my life on the line on the PGA Tour to win a putting contest, Denny McCarthy's my guy. So I'm joining you, BP, here. The last time we both took the same guy, I would like to add, Keegan Bradley won the Travelers. So if you're looking for even more mythical trends, that could be on the tame.
Love it. Andy, where are you going?
I'm not going Denny McCarthy. I'm taking my guy, Nico Echevarria, part of our podcast segment, Nico Minute. Great putter, fifth in strokes gained putting, played really well at the Rocket last year. This just feels like a ham and cheese sandwich. Nico Echevarria in the John Deere Classic. So that's what I'm going with.
Love it. Ham and cheese sandwiches, the rental house of champions recently between the postman and the septic tank, as he's known around these parts. I need to know more about this house. Is it like a 7-bedroom manse? Is there a pool? We know it gets hot. Yeah. Sounds like a nicer accommodations than Robert Allenby had back in the day when he was mucking around the Quad Cities. But this is a good situation. BJ, you have more facts on the
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, if Grayson Sigg ends up winning, like, are we putting real stock in this house?
I would say, McCarthy, a little bit of merit. He could pick wherever. He'd be a good pick wherever he's staying. Now, Grayson Sigg, as you said, then there's some mystical things happening here because he's not been in form, not necessarily been a card carrier, lock, stock card carrier in recent years. So, yeah, if Sigg emerges from the house, then we know something's cooking and whatever this rental home's going. And you start paying. You start paying to get in the house. That's got to happen. If this happens with Sigg or McCarthy again, it's clearly working. So that's your John Deere Classic, a unique event on the PGA Tour with a little bit of history. It's going to be on CBS all weekend, coming up at 3:00 Eastern on Saturday and Sunday with the crew out in the Quad Cities before they head off to Scotland for the Renaissance Club. So we're pumped to watch a little John Deere. It's one of those classic events. Can't wait to see it this weekend.